About to get on the plane tomorrow. That's actually who you are. Fucking in Texas. Fucking shove this fucking dope up my ass and ride to Michigan, baby. The adversarial process, mythologically speaking, that stops moral progress. You're too proud of who you think you are.
So, obviously, you just saw a video of a man getting ready to spark up a bowl of methamphetamine. This is a YouTuber who's recently hit the scene. He's threatening little Kelpie every time he gets a chance. That's his thing. Fine, whatever. Or not necessarily threatening, but he's like, hey, homie, I want to beef with you. Whatever. That's here nor there. I could care less. But if you listen in the background, this man is listening to Jordan Peterson. About to get on the plane tomorrow. That's actually who you are. Fucking in Texas. Fucking shove this fucking... And actually several times he's tagged Jordan Peterson in his work, in his videos. He blames Jordan Peterson for different things. He seems to listen to him a lot, though, right? So he seems to be paying attention to the man. And smoking methamphetamine at the same time. He's also bragged about several other things. I'm not going to get into those so much right now, but what I am going to talk about is the methamphetamine use.
Well, there's a deep idea in the West, too. It's like, pick up your damn suffering and bear it and try to be a good person so you don't make it worse. Well, that's a truth. You know, I read a lot about the terrible things that people have done to each other. You just cannot even imagine it. It's so awful. So you don't want to be someone like that. Now, do you have a reason to be? Yes. You have lots of reasons to be. God, there's reasons to be resentful about your existence. Everyone you know is going to die. You know, you too. And there's going to be a fair bit of pain along the way, and lots of it's going to be unfair. It's like, yeah, no wonder you're resentful. It's like, act it out and see what happens. You make everything you're complaining about infinitely worse.
And, you know, there was some people in the comments who said, oh, that's not meth use. Or they said that was weed. You're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. But before I get into that, I want to talk about why I feel I'm qualified to talk about these things. I'm going to tell a little story about my personal feelings about meth and my dealings and whatnot. So I didn't speed for the first time, I think around 13. We had actually somebody on accident delivered a pair of RockShox to my friend's house, like a $200 set of RockShox, and this is in like 94 or something like that, maybe 95. And so he knew a dealer. He couldn't do nothing with the RockShox. He didn't even have a bike. But he knew a dealer that would give us a teener for it. So we said, okay, cool. And he said, I know these girls. You know what I mean? These girls, we can go, and they got this hotel room down here. We can go hang out. Okay, cool. So we went. We stayed up for a couple days, got high with the women, did the thing, whatever. That was my first taste of methamphetamine. My father was a methamphetamine, pretty much an addict, a methamphetamine addict, pretty much his entire life. I grew up in Northern California whenever I was young, and methamphetamine is rampant. The biker scene and whatnot, meth is everywhere. And so it affected my life a great deal whenever I was young. It was very poor. And the economy is very bad, because most of the extra money goes to dope, because a lot of people are on methamphetamine.
There's this idea that hell is a bottomless pit, and that's because no matter how bad it is, some stupid son of a bitch like you could figure out a way to make it a lot worse. So you think, well, what do you do about that? Well, you accept it. That's what life is like. It's suffering. That's what the religious people have always said. Life is suffering. Yes. Well, who wants to admit that? Well, just think about it. Well, so what do you do in the face of that suffering? Try to reduce it. Start with yourself. What good are you? Get yourself together, for Christ's sake, so that when your father dies, you're not whining away in a corner, and you can help plan the funeral, and you can stand up solidly so that people can rely on you. That's better. Don't be a damn victim. Of course you're a victim. Jesus, obviously.
Moved to Denver around 14, and but when meth didn't really hit the Denver scene super tough until I was around 17 years old, and that's whenever I started getting high again. So this is around 2000. So 2001, I go to prison. I spent altogether between 2001 and 2012, I spent about a decade in prison. I spent 4 of that in solitary confinement. I joined a gang at 15. I got put on my hood at 15. Did the gang banging trip. Did a lot of juvenile time. Got out to well, that's I mean basically it. Doing drugs, getting high, gang banging. It was mostly coke back then, like coke and beer. You just do a little bit of coke, some beer, like in the 90s and stuff like that. Meth didn't really hit till later on. But anyway, ended myself up in prison. The SHU program. I did about 4 years combined in the SHU program on 3 different visits, 4 different visits. Throughout my tenure, right? I've stolen cars, I've robbed houses, and usually whenever I do it, I don't just do one. Like if I steal a car, I steal a string of cars. If I rob a house, I rob a string of houses.
That's actually who you are. Fucking in Texas, fucking shove this fucking dope up my ass and ride to Michigan, baby. The adversarial process, mythologically speaking, it stops moral progress. You're too proud of who you think you are to notice what you're like so that you can change properly. You don't want to sacrifice that part of yourself. It's probably associated with some delusion that helps you maintain a positive, although very fragile self-image, in the absence.
Put yourself together. And then maybe if you put yourself together, you know how to do that. You know what's wrong with you, if you'll admit it. You know there's a few things you could polish up a little bit that you might even be able to manage in your insufficient present condition. And so you might shine yourself up a little bit, and then your eyes will be a little more open, then you can shine yourself up a little bit more, and then maybe you could bring your family together instead of having them be the hateful, spiteful, neurotic, infighting batch that you're doomed to spend Christmas with. So then you fix yourself up a little bit, kind of humbly, because, God, you're a fixer-upper if there ever was one. And then you got to figure out, well, can you figure out how to make peace with your idiot brother? And probably not, because he's just as dumb as you, so how the hell are you going to manage that? And so then maybe you get somewhere that way, and your family's sort of functioning, and you find out, well, that kind of relieved a little bit of suffering, although it reduced the opportunities for spiteful revenge, and that's kind of a pain in the neck. And so then you get your family together a little bit, and you're a little clued in then, at least a bit, because you've done something difficult that's actually difficult. You're a little wiser, and so then maybe you could put a tentative finger out beyond the family and try to change some little thing without wrecking it.
I ruined my life until I was 30 years old, either committing scams, not always for dope, because at times I was completely sober. I was just a crook. But at many times it was behind dope. It was either I was committing crimes sober and doing well, or committing crimes high and not doing well. That's how you end up in prison. This is why most mobsters and stuff like this, like professional criminals, they don't end up in jail. Most professional criminals don't, because they don't get high. And that's why a lot of gangs have rules about not getting high. You're not supposed to get high. I should have listened, right? That was a video of one of my childhood friend's sons. He recently turned 18, and on his 18th birthday, he decided to go live on Facebook and smoke methamphetamine, to do the exact same thing that this man is doing on this YouTube video. This video came from Facebook, though. I recorded this video, and I sent it to the child's father, and he's done whatever he's done. I know he feels helpless, especially now that his child is 18. He really feels helpless. The child was wild anyway, and this is how he chose to celebrate his 18th birthday. He's officially an adult now. That was a video of an adult. What do you say about that? It's a cry for help. This is an amazing cry for help. I can't imagine that he thinks this is a good way to grow his YouTube channel. He seems to want to beef with Kelpie, and that's fine. I could care less. That's got nothing to do with me. But I want to address this correlation that he seems to have with Jordan Peterson. Nothing about what this man is doing represents any of the knowledge that comes from Jordan Peterson. This painting right there, that's actually a painting of Jordan Peterson that I had commissioned a couple years back. I had a lot of pieces of artwork commissioned. Jordan Peterson has had an amazing effect on my life. As I said, my father was hooked on methamphetamine pretty much his entire adult life. He never really got it right. Sometimes he would sober up a little bit, but it was basically it was a downhill slope. He died young, spent many years in prison. So this man, whenever I was released from prison, I went on another rampage. This was in 2012. I went on another crime spree, and I bonded out. Dog the Bounty Hunter was looking for me. He couldn't catch me, but I was still on a crime spree. I was robbing people's houses. I was robbing houses. One day I robbed a house, and I went around the back, and I broke the window out.
It's like our society is complex, and we teach our students that they could just fix it. It's like, go fix a military helicopter and see how far you get with that. It's like, what are you going to do? You're like a chimp with a wrench. Whack! Oh, look, it's better. It's like, no, it's not better. Things are complicated, and to fix things is really hard, and you have to be like a golden tool to fix things, and you're not. So, and that's the other message of the West. It's like, how do you overcome the suffering of life? And I'm not saying it's only the message of the West. How do you overcome the suffering of life? Is be a better person.
And I said, okay, I'm going to see if this set off an alarm. So I drove off, ran around a little bit. Come back, no cops have showed up. I said, cool. I break into the house. Start stealing stuff. Start grabbing stuff off of over here, over there, filling up suitcases, filling up pillowcases, right? Filling up pillowcases, different stuff, jewelry boxes, whatever. Start dragging them down the stairs to the front door. And I've done 4 or 5 trips to the front door, right? Dragging stuff down to the front door. And I look out the front door. It's got some glass panes like one of the windows, and I see the cops. So I run for the back, right? Abandon the stuff, I run for the back. I go around the back, I go out the back door, and there's the cops. They got me. I'm busted. They got me surrounded. They could kill me. That's all they could do. So I give up. They throw me on the ground. I give up. I go sit in the county for, I don't know, 9 months, 10 months, something like that. And I go in front of the judge on sentencing day. I mean, they got me dead to rights. I ain't said nothing to them, but they got me dead to rights. And this is all behind methamphetamine. They found a rig in my back pocket, a needle. There was a needle in my back pocket. As it turns out, there was a woman in the house that I had broken into. And whenever I broke the window, she freaked out. And she went and crawled up into the attic. And she called her father. And she was crying on the phone to her father. And she said, I don't know what to do, Dad. And he said, you got to hang up the phone and you got to call the cops. I can't imagine what that man was thinking, right? Whenever he said he couldn't say do a three-way. He couldn't say call her on the other line. He said, you got to hang up. You got to hang up the phone and call. Please, because I can't help you. I'm not there. And this was all behind methamphetamine. So, this is a clear cry for help. Both of these videos that I've shown you are clear cries for help. So the people that was in the comments at a short that I made, talking all reckless, talking about leave him alone, let him get high. This isn't just getting high. That's not somebody getting high on the weekend in the privacy of their home. This is a problem. This is a problem. And I think I'm what's called to speak on it. I think I'm certified to speak on this. Because can't nobody tell me anything about methamphetamine. You could tell me whatever. You could throw down in the comments. You could throw down whatever you heard. Whatever you made up on the Discovery Channel or whatever you heard through your favorite YouTuber. I really don't give a shit. Ain't nothing. I've been in cookhouses. I've got the wall fed back whenever wall fed was a thing. I was one of the kids who went and got the damn wall fed. I can tell you exactly how we do it. You put a pair of sweatpants under a pair of jeans, and then the sweatpants right at the ankles, you hit those with rubber bands. Not too tight, though, because you don't want to cut off circulation. Then you make sure you got some big Ben Davises on, so you got some extra flexion, but you got the whatchalls underneath. You walk up to the wall fed and put them all down your pants and then run out the thing. They won't come out. They'll just fall to the bottom. Look like you got bell bottoms. I've been doing this forever. There's nobody can tell me anything about the pain and destruction that this drug causes. Take the video down, man. Take the video down. Whatever. You want to go a little kelpie. You want to act crazy. But all this stuff that you're putting out here, this ain't no good, man. This ain't no good. Take it down. This is ridiculous.
That's how you do it. Well, that's hard. It takes responsibility. And I think, if you said to someone, you want to have a meaningful life? Everything you do matters. That's the definition of a meaningful life. But everything you do matters. So you're going to have to carry that with you. Or do you want to just forget about the whole meaning thing and then you don't have any responsibility because who the hell cares? And you can wander through life doing whatever you want, gratifying impulsive desires for how useful that's going to be. And you're stuck in meaninglessness, but you don't have any responsibility. Which one do you want? Well, ask yourself, which one are you pursuing? And you'll find very rapidly that it isn't the majority of your soul that's pursuing the whole meaning thing, because, well, look what you have to do that. You have to take on the fact that life is suffering. You have to put yourself together in the face of that. Well, that's hard. Christ, it's amazing people can even do it. I'm stunned every day when I go outside and it isn't a riot with everything burning. Because really, God, you talk to people, it's like, I knew this guy, he'd been in a motorcycle accident and it really ruined him. And he was like a linesman, working on the power. And he was working with someone who had Parkinson's disease. And they had complementary inadequacies. And so two of them could do the job of one person. And so they're out there fixing power lines in the freezing cold, despite the fact that one was 3/4 wrecked with a motorcycle accident and the other one had Parkinson's. It's like, that's how our civilization works. It's like there's all these ruined people out there. They've got problems like you can't believe. Off they go to work and do things they don't even like. And look, the lights are on. My God, it's unbelievable. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. And we're so ungrateful. College students, the postmodern types, they're so ungrateful. They don't know that they're surrounded by just a bloody miracle. It's a miracle that all this stuff works, that all you crazy chimpanzees that don't know each other can sit in the same room for 2 hours sweltering away without tearing each other apart, because that's what chimps do. So
it's a genuine effort. It's not
to be recommended.
I wouldn't
So,
recommend it.
You know
I
yourself.
wouldn't recommend this life, kids.
It's not thinking. Exactly.
Bitch.
It's not imagination.
I'm tired of fake ass.
It's watching. Like,
Whoever the fuck that white boy is that thinks he's a fucking pimp.
Snake watches.
Yo, if you were a man, you would slap the fuck out of Sharp. That guy that interviewed you, Sharp. Yeah, you're a pussy, bro.
Allow what is wanted or desired to interfere with what is observed. So
bitch shit. Like bitch ass white boy.
Well, that's the beginning. And then you challenge yourself.
You got a problem with it, come to Michigan, ho. I'm in Texas right now. I'll come down to Texas again, motherfucker. Where are you at?
And to continually...
You know, some of the people were in the comments talking about, oh, maybe it's a wave hype or you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Why you even talk about things if you don't know what you're talking about? Just say I don't know what I'm talking about. You ask me about something I don't know I don't know. I'll just tell you. I don't know. I don't know. That's the answer. Whenever you don't know things, don't just chime into the comments and start running your mouth about things you have no idea about. Right? I've seen the destruction firsthand. You know what happened to all the homegirls from my hood? Almost all of them are prostitutes. And the drugs have taken their toll. You don't quite get to charge as much after the drugs have taken their toll. Can't live life quite as fast, if you will. For every after-school special that you watch that shows you a child that made it out of the ghetto, that had drug-addicted parents and was able to make out of it unscathed and toe the line and graduate from high school and do the right thing and not end up with a bunch of problems, a bunch of social anxiety or whatever else. For every one of those that's a true story, there's 30 of us that didn't, right? Because social pressure is a serious thing. I can remember being 11 years old in a park called South Valley Park in Ukiah, California. And I seen a man, and he had a white baggie on substance. And he took a bite of the apple, and then where the wet part of the apple was, he was sprinkling it on there and letting it dissolve in. And then he was eating it. And I was like, what are you doing, man? He's like, this is speed. He said, you ever done speed? I said, nah. He said, you will. Don't trip. You will. That's what he said. Because he knew. He knew. I've got multiple videos pointing out the price of methamphetamine in Denver. The price of methamphetamine and the price of fentanyl has collapsed in the state of Colorado. It costs basically nothing to ruin your life. You can get an ounce of speed out here for $150. $100 if you got a good connect. If you buy in bulk, buy a half pound or something like that. $800, get you a half pound. $1,400, get you a whole one. They're killing everybody. Think about that. Speed, fentanyl. Uppers and downers. So whoever hasn't been hit by the prescription pills and they like the uppers, well, we got those too. We got you covered on those. We got you covered on the downers. It's every way that they can kill you. The price collapsed on everything that can kill you. Jordan Peterson, a couple years back, had the best-selling book of the year. Best-selling book on Amazon. And he's an amazing man. And he looks at the world through the lens of philosophy and psychology and just biology, evolutionary biology. He seems to integrate a lot of that into his work as well. But the man has been crucial in uplifting the spirit, the generation of a spirit of young men. This man has spoken for them and stepped into the role of, I would say, male advisor or masculine advisor that we have turned away from in America, that we've decided men are foolish. Yeah? Think of all the shows that sitcoms, things of this nature. Men are generally fools. Homer Simpson, right? Or they're brutes, right? Savages, one or the other. This leaves out a whole section of the archetype, right? The great father, the wise father, the wise king, right? Jordan Peterson's ideas have nothing to do with what this man is espousing. This young man seems lost. He seems, I don't know, desperate for some sort of attention. Like I said, he tags little Kelpie in everything and reacts to everything Kelpie does, which may or may not be a winning or a losing strategy. But the drugs on camera, no, that's a bad strategy. Take the video down, man. Take it down.